All right. So, what's up, everybody? I messed with everything last night, and so I there was a few things I missed, and so kind of late getting everything put together today. Sorry, but we're here. Um, I see you guys are already here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say hi to everybody in chat here, and then we'll introduce our guests and stuff, and we'll get right into it. Vandalia and Seth and
Hey, Seth.
theoretically, Kelly's out there. Dawn's out there. What is that doing? Okay. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming. Hey, Robin. Uh,
Mm.
so, Cynthia's back with us again today. What's up, Cynthia?
Hey, everybody. Hey, Joe. Hey, Lil. It's great to be.
Hello.
Uh, Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no. No, yeah, you have quickly became one of my favorite people to hang out with and talk to. We had a good time talking on your show the other day over there, The Roots Matter. That was a fun time,
Yes, it
and
was.
you had been here before that, and we had a great conversation then too. And the you're into some of this political stuff too, so we talked about some of this before. So um, I thought, hey, we'll just see if Cynthia wants to come back and do it again. But anyway, I guess I can say hi to Lil too, can I?
Hi.
I mean, yeah, that part.
I mean, I assume it's just kind of implied. I am the co-host, so I'm always here. And you did say hi to me earlier when I popped into the studio. So
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we had already been talking. I had I've been kind of stumbling over everything since I got here, and just like I have things prepared and stuff, but you would really think that I didn't. But yeah, so anyhow, this is the second week we're doing the Sunday show, and I had kind of thought about like doing like a regular Thursday show and then having guests on Sunday, and
mhm.
but I don't think I need to. I think I'm trying to overmanage it. Like we'll just have guests when we have guests, and we won't when we don't.
Mhm.
So, but we have been working on scheduling some other guests, and I've messaged some um, a couple congressmen that I'm trying to get to, even if they'll sit down and have a recorded conversation, which I can then use in the stream later. That's fine. But and then I'll be doing a show sometime in the next week or so. I have to talk to her with Jenny Morgan
Hey,
and
Dee.
some some news and stuff around that, which I'm not going to get into right now. But and then on the 26th, Aaron Raw will be here with us for for
Mm.
Politicality, and he actually kind of seemed excited about coming and doing the show. Really,
Nice.
I mean, Aaron's been here before and stuff, but he was like seemed all for coming and doing the political show with us. Though he's Aaron got into the political stuff kind of about the same time I did, and he had right before the 2024 election, he had he had he had came on the show, and we had talked about some stuff and whatever, and he was like, we had already started. Me and Robin had already put together what was going to be this show eventually, and then RM was like, yeah, I'm going to have to start doing political content because of this and that and everything, and so yeah, but also today, we're supposed to be streaming over on Facebook today. I don't know if we are or not. Nobody's watching it if we are, but the we'll see if that works or not.
Mhm.
And really, it's just to find out if it works. I don't really care about streaming to Facebook, honestly. But um, I'm just trying to see if it works the way that it's supposed to work, because it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work with some other stuff. So um, Now, since, I know that there's not that much going on in the world, but we'll
Oh
find.
yeah,
Not at
not,
all.
not much at
And
all.
I mean, I know it's Black History Month, and I know that like uh, I didn't plan on having a racist in the video for you today. It wasn't part of the plan, um, but you know, he doesn't. At least he doesn't say a bunch of racist, like just overtly racist things. Anyway, he says some racist things for sure, but
Mhm.
um, he's
Yes.
just the dude's an idiot. But it's
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
just for everybody watching though. Whenever we get into our clip here, we're gonna start out with this just dipshit, and then but we're gonna end on a better note. I've got a good clip at the end here. Lil sent to me a few days back, and it actually kind of fit with the whole thing to where there is some hope for at least some of us. Not the guy they talked to; he's a fucking idiot.
Mhm.
Yes,
But
he is.
I mean, what do you expect though? He was handpicked by our fearless leader.
But
Mhm.
Joe, he always has the best people.
The
Yeah,
best people.
The
yeah.
best.
Well, I actually started making videos called "Only the Best
Mhm.
People," and I've only made the one on Christy Nome though.
Mm.
I need to do one on RFK because
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
have things to say. And the thing
Yeah.
is, every time I'm like, okay, this is good to cover, then he comes out and says something else absolutely insane. Then I'm just like, I got to cover that too now. Damn it.
I think I've seen the clip of him the other day where it's like the head of the Institute of Health is saying, "Oh well, I know that I'm healthy because I used to snort cocaine off a toilet seat," and it's like, wh-
He said he
why
wasn't he said
why
he
did you
wasn't
use to pee?
afraid. He said that he wasn't afraid of germs
That's
because
it. Like,
he snorted cocaine off of toilet seats.
that yeah.
And when I heard that, I said, "My dude, you know that is not a flex, right?"
I don't know if he does.
I don't think he does either.
Everybody else did. I don't know if he does or not.
Yeah, no. Well, the brainworms don't seem to let that compute, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe it was the brainworm that was doing the cocaine.
oh,
I
it was
mean,
informing his brain to tell him to do cocaine off of a toilet seat. That
yeah,
tracks.
he was
Okay,
looking for buddies.
there you go. There you go. Okay.
Mhm.
The brainworm was like, "I'm lonely. I need
Yeah,
company."
yeah. Get a tapeworm in
Yeah.
here.
There you go. There you go. Talk
I do not
about
need that
building
visual.
community. They
uh,
say.
well, so like all in the news, we've got all around the world these leaders and these prominent people who are being held accountable for their involvement with Epstein and all that other stuff. And we've talked about Epstein the last couple weeks, and I don't really. I mean, other than the fact that we know that this administration isn't holding any of their own people accountable to for anything, um, I just didn't really think we needed to spend a whole nother show talking about Epstein files and stuff again. Although that's like where the news
Yeah,
is like developing
it's
quickly.
like it's a big story, but that's kind of the entire point of this administration's like media thing is they just throw so much crap out there that even stuff that they have to report on or people are going to report on, everybody else is focusing on this other thing. And so a
Yeah.
whole lot of stuff goes unnoticed.
Yeah, that's actually their strategy. They learned that
Hmm.
from
Yeah.
Mr. Bannon himself. What did he used to call him? Sloppy Steve. There you go.
Yeah.
Just to throw a whole bunch of shit at everybody at one time, and that way they can't focus. So they can't really focus on the stuff that's happening now. Like that the story about this racist dude, being
Mhm.
confirmed, going through his Senate hearing, was almost under the radar. And because like we all looking at, Pam Bondi basically playing Mean Girls 3, the version on top of, Capitol Hill. So and then there was even, and this really slipped under the radar, the SAVE Act was passed in the House. And that's the bill where they want to add more restrictions around people when it comes to voting. And
Yeah.
that's totally involved, because according to some studies, they were saying that the SAVE Act could possibly disenfranchise at least about 21 to 22 million Americans from voting.
Mhm.
And of course, like, they're really getting to the point where they're trying to target certain states because they don't want to flip the House back, to the Democrats. So like all these other things that are happening that are super important that we need to pay attention to, so that we can, like, call senators and tell them to vote this down, and say that we don't want it. We don't know as much about it because we're too busy being distracted by other things. I mean, important things, but still, it is a distraction.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Very
for
much.
sure. The I think that, so I think there is like this media strategy to where they want to put all this stuff out and flood the zone, as they said, and all that.
Mhm.
But then I also think you have like a lot of times Trump is kind of just like fucking that up for him too at the same time,
Mm.
because they'll come out and say all this stuff and then Trump will be like, he'll contradict all of them and just screw up what they're trying to do, because I don't think that I mean, even in his best days, I don't think he was mentally fit for the job. But it's becoming more apparent now that he's just like, he says a lot of the things out loud that they really don't want him to, and it kind of seems like Stephen Miller's doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. Who is, I mean, don't get me wrong, Trump's been openly racist since like the 1980s, that I know of.
70s.
Yeah, I mean, going all the way back to where like uh, he wanted to kick all the black people out of his apartments, and then and then his casinos. He went in and wanted to fire everybody, and just Trump has done a lot of awful stuff. So there's no doubt that, and nobody's ever had, or at least in recent years, had any doubt about Trump being a racist. I mean, he has been. Um, he's always been overly friendly with some of these groups, the Proud Boys, and some of these other groups that are just disgusting. So yeah, so it's no wonder that he tried to do this. But I mean, the guy, usually the way it goes though is that the racists will be like covertly racist whenever they're trying to get to wherever they're going, and then, but this guy is just, he said a whole bunch of stupid stuff, and we'll get there in a minute. But um and I'm not going to play all of it, but just the highlights, I guess, but or lowlights, I don't know.
I was about to say,
But it's just crazy that Trump thought, well, I'll send this guy in front of the Senate, and they'll just confirm him, and it won't be a problem. And maybe it wouldn't have been a few months ago. I mean, it would have been a problem, but they may have pushed him on through or whatever. I don't know that that's what's going to happen now, though. It kind of seems like going into the midterms, there's a lot of these senators, especially, who are having to distance themselves from Trump because he's so unpopular. He's got one of the lowest approval ratings in modern history, and
Yeah.
just yeah. And if they have any hope of getting elected again, they have to kind of distance themselves from him some. And so I know that's an awful way to look at it, though. Like, oh well, the Senate decided not to be racist today, so they could get reelected. But not yesterday, whenever it could have helped them. The I mean, I don't know if I don't know how much of it is like individual pieces of shit that work in Congress, and how much of it is like they're just scared of Trump and his base and they're going along with it and doing what they have to do that way. I mean, not that either one's better than the other, but it's just wild to see someone who's openly a white nationalist in front of the Senate trying to get confirmed for a position in the State Department this high up, in an appointed position. So anyhow, um, we have seen there was uh, a list of men that Ro Khanna read on the House floor the other day from the Epstein files, and those guys, uh, and at least one woman, are losing their jobs and being removed from their positions and held accountable in some way. And that's not the case here at home, though. And But by the time we get to the end of all this today, we'll have a little bit of good news to bring it all back together, and that there is a little bit of hope here for working together, and the world isn't as divisive of a place as Trump would like you to think. It's not perfect. It may not even be great, but it's not as bad as they would lead you to believe. There is a gnat flying around in front of me, is why I'm like thrown off here. I keep moving my head and stuff, and there's like one gnat right here. And sorry, I don't usually ramble this much. So anyway, let's get over here to this other screen. And we will. The only part of this that I included is about most of the his conversation with Senator Murphy here, because Senator Murphy makes a he lays it out nicely of how silly this whole thing is. Um, So let me go ahead and start this, and then we'll pause it here in just a second. If you need me to pause it before I get to the place, Cynthia, if you
Hmm.
want to cut in and say something or whatever, just tell me, and I will. It's no big deal at all.
No worries.
All right, here we go.
Were white Americans the most discriminated against group in the United States? You said it. So
Yeah.
just
Senator, no, certainly this is my belief. I'm not running away from that. I think that while, of course, all races in different contexts can be subject to really severe discrimination, that when we look at our legal structures, white Americans are often very disfavored in overt ways. We're seeing this in the Small Business Administration, many other places.
So your belief is that white Americans face more discrimination, at least prior to the Trump administration fixing this, than Black Americans.
Can you pause it?
Yep.
So it's very interesting. He said, like, well, certainly we see this in business and we see this and this and that and the third. Okay, so where's your data?
Right.
Where I would think that
Yeah.
if you would make such a huge claim about white Americans specifically being discriminated against, especially in institutions that matter, like in banking, like in business, like in
Mm.
housing, whatever your thought patterns are, I would think that you would bring along some type of empirical data to back up your claim. But I already knew that I would have been disappointed for that because he started out his sentence with, "This is my belief."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I was about to say. Is like he prefaced it with that, which is
Mm.
like, yeah, I don't have any data for this, but
Vibes, man. I have the
Yeah.
vibes.
all
Yeah.
about the vibes.
It's all about the vibes. Okay, you can continue.
And to the audience, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I should have told you what was going on here.
Mm.
So this is the Committee on Foreign Relations. And this guy is the guy with two first names, Jeremy Carl of Montana. And he was nominated by Trump to be Assistant Secretary of State for International Organizations. Which again is a nominated Senate confirmed position. It's a very high position, and this guy is an open white nationalist. Like
Right.
that's how he refers to himself. And so this is who Trump sent to the Senate, though, to be confirmed, knowing like I just blows my mind that
Yeah.
I try not to be surprised by Trump when he does crazy stupid shit because he does so much of it, but this one I was just like, not that he sent a racist to be confirmed, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's that he sent someone who he knew was going to be openly racist during the hearing. um, because so many of these senators and stuff already see Trump as poison, and they're trying to like separate themselves from him, and this doesn't help that. It hurts that situation, and I would think that even if we know that Trump doesn't give a shit about being racist, but you would think that he would have thought, hey, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe now isn't the best time to do that for me. But again, it speaks to his mental ability or his mental awareness at the moment. So
And also his narcissism.
yeah,
Yeah, he thinks he's a king. So there you go.
yeah, and he said something about he openly threatened the senators here, saying, if you don't vote this guy through, we'll have to have primaries for you and all that other stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
every person that Trump like backs though loses terribly. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's who this guy is and what's going on here. And we'll we'll let this go on a little bit more. There's a cut in it here in a second. You'll see it, and I'll stop there. But again, if you need me to stop before then, just say so. It's not a big deal at all. We're not in a hurry here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just chilling.
Yeah.
On average, Senator, yes, that's correct, and I'm not running away from that statement at all.
You have made several statements about your worry regarding the erasure of white culture in America. You're now retreating.
The erasure of white culture in America is
How?
I don't think this is funny at all. But I mean, like, I kind of almost choked whenever he said that, because like these are the same people who want to stop teaching about slavery in history class,
Mm-hmm.
and have literally tried to erase black
Yeah, it's
history in
protection.
America.
It
It's
is.
protection.
It really is. I mean, like, it's interesting to hear somebody would say that they are racing white culture in America. Therefore, what we're going to do is remove slavery monuments from the national parks throughout the United States. We're going to take down the placards that honor the slaves that served George Washington at the Philadelphia Presidential House. We're going to swap out key exhibit pieces that happens to be in the Smithsonian for African American history. We're going to demonize other museums that actually are dedicated to African American history because it makes Jenny and Bobby feel bad. I mean, this is the things that they're doing, and they're doing it overtly because of this whole notion of the replacement theory that somehow white people are going to be replaced by people of color and by other nationalities, and they feel threatened by that. And I understand that projections as far as like, population growth goes, especially in the United States, you're going to have a majority of people of color within the next, what are they projecting, like 30 years, something to that effect. And so they think that, and that scares them. And it's not necessarily white per se. It's the elite that happen to identify and work overtly within the confines of white supremacy. Those are the ones who are threatened because if because like one of the things that I always would say, and especially when it comes to marginalized groups, people of color, LGBTQIA plus people, and I know that a lot of times these different artificial barriers are pitted against us in order for us to start demonizing one another, right? But as soon as we start putting those things aside and really realize that we have the same oppressor, it's curtains, and they know that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this was the at least the Trump campaign's go-to move during the election was to scapegoat people of color, minorities, and marginalized groups, and then
Immigrants.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then create fear.
Right.
And this guy though, what and the reason that I actually brought this isn't to hear this guy say a bunch of gross things, um although he does some of that. It's because of how Senator Murphy here handles this, and
Mm.
he gives him the floor and says, "Hey, I'll give you time. Explain what this means. Explain what you mean by these things."
Hmm.
And that's really the thing that caught me about this clip is that the guy said, "I'm not running from that. Thank you for asking, and I'm not running from that." And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, but you do exactly that. You try to dip and dodge away from it in every way possible, and still say a bunch of stupid shit. Um,
Yep.
but good for Senator Murphy here handling this the way he did, though, because this guy doesn't realize what he's doing to him here. He doesn't realize how stupid he's making him look here until it already happens.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Well, to be fair, that's not exactly hard.
no, no. Now, at the end of this clip, so usually I fade these out at the end, but I purposely left this one to just stay on a still at the end, and because I want you to pay attention to the look on the guy's face at the end of this because it's priceless.
Can't
Um,
wait.
but, uh, because you can tell he realizes by the end of it what just happened and that it wasn't good.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, this has been like Trump's kind of go-to thing of like demonizing and scapegoating whatever minority or marginalized group he can, and then trying to create fear around that. Um, I don't know if Trump thought this guy could show up and do the same thing here, but he, it's just well, I'll let him talk. We'll let him ask the question.
Nice.
to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
Senator, again, thank you for
spent a lot of time talking about this and writing about this.
Yeah,
you should be able to, you're struggling with this. But you should be fairly easily, I would assume, able to tell us your thoughts on how white identity is different than other kinds of identity and how it's being erased.
Senator, again, thank you for the question. I'm just trying to be I'm just trying to be very precise. Because I'm here in front of a Senate committee, I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability.
Why they still butthurt about Bad Bunny? I need y'all to get over that.
Yeah.
It wasn't in English. Oh my God. Are these people even American? Yes, Puerto Rico is part of America, you idiot.
Yeah.
I was like, it's been part of America since 1899, and people in Puerto Rico, born there, raised there, have been citizens of the United States since 1917. I need y'all to learn, pick up a history book for Pete's. Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Jake Paul is from Puerto Rico.
Oh, he lived there. He got bad.
Yeah,
I don't think that's bad. But I said, do you live in Puerto Rico? What in the hell are you talking about right now?
Facebook never ceases to surprise me. Whenever I come, so when I'm on YouTube and I interact with some of these apologists and different people, right wingers or whatever, I mean, there's a lot of stupid shit that gets said, but on Facebook, it's like, it's so much worse. And there was, leading up to the Super Bowl, they're like, I'm just tired of all these foreigners and all this other stuff. Why do they have to focus on foreigners at the Super Bowl? And it's like, what who? I didn't even catch it at first, and I was like, Puerto Rico isn't a foreign country, you dumbass.
It's really not.
The MAGA people were all over Facebook though, talking about that, and then they switched it to, oh well, not foreigner, but he's not speaking English, which, like,
who cares?
So
I love it when Megyn Kelly was like, so what, over 40 million people in the United States speak Spanish? Over 300 and something million don't. I was like, that's still a significant number of people. Like, even if I granted you that, that's still a significant number of people who actually speak Spanish. And especially like when you look at, urban areas and even some rural areas too, you have more and more people who happen to be people who speak Spanish. You even have people like myself who are, practicing and learning Spanish. We not only, interact with people who happen to be here in the United States, but we may travel abroad and actually interact with people that way as well. So I don't see what the big deal about being so losing your head that you actually have to be subjected to a performance which was actually very, very good. That was mostly in Spanish. Matter of fact, it wasn't even all in Spanish. Lady Gaga was there and she sang in English. She sang that song that she did with her and Bruno Mars, and they just put it to a salsa beat. It was slamming. I was like, hey, if the world, I was like, hey, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? It was great, And I'd be like, and of course, like, my mom's from Jamaica. So when I saw the Jamaican flag and, he was honoring, all the different islands and people that came from the Caribbean, I was just like, yay, Jamaica, wagwan.
Yeah. I mean,
it was great.
there have been lots of other artists in the past who sing either a lot or all in Spanish who have done very well in the United States. And the thing that I kept trying to point out to people was the Super Bowl wants to make money.
Yeah, that part, that
Yeah.
part right there.
And,
So hire the
Mhm.
person who's the most streamed on Spotify.
yeah.
Yeah.
You hire,
And here's the thing that that I saw on Facebook that cracked me up is everybody sitting there talking about like, oh, he's not even American. This is an American man. Do you have any idea how many non-Americans they've had for the halftime show?
Yeah.
A lot of them. They've just all spoken English.
yeah.
They have Paul McCartney
Yeah.
and U2.
Yeah, he's from England. He's
Yeah.
from the oppressing country that tried to keep us in a vice script under the rule of George, who's it, the third? Was
Yeah.
it George the Third? King George the Third? Yeah, that guy. So you weren't having, conniption fits, and getting your panties in a vice then. So what's the deal?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we all know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but like
Uh,
the cognitive
the-
dissonance is
well, I mean,
astounding.
so Bad Bunny is, if not the most popular, one of the most popular artists in all of the world. Okay,
Mhm.
not just in English speaking places, not just in Spanish speaking places, but worldwide superstar. And then you're like, well, we're going to have our own thing and we're going to put Kid Rock, who was like washed up 20 years ago.
Yeah. Until the Trump era, I didn't even know he was a thing still.
Yeah.
Like, I vaguely remember him when he came out, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And then after the Trump era, I'm like, he's still around? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if you're meaning to be muted, but you are.
Sorry, I was trying to tell my kid to close the door. And
Okay,
can
that's
we
Oh.
and can we not like forget that Kid Rock did a whole song called Underaged,
Yes.
where
Mhm.
the first line was, they call that statutory, but I call it mandatory. If that ain't some, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's some fuck shit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid Rock has sang about a number of crazy things like that. And, like, I just don't understand because the whole thought process for the MAGA folks, which, admittedly, they're pretty goddamn dumb. But
Mhm.
admittedly, like they were like, well, we're gonna show the Super Bowl wants to go woke and they can go broke and all this bullshit. And it's like, so they put Kid Rock on. The Turning Point lip syncing contest they had over there topped out at around 7 million views. Okay, and a lot of those were people who were just like going to cover how bad it was later.
Mhm.
And the Bad Bunny halftime show, I think the number was 143 million
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
it was live.
Yeah.
So like and
It cracked me up because like so my family are no longer Trumpers, but they're still fairly conservative, and it cracked me up whenever I had walked in there and they were sitting there and they're watching the Green Day halftime preview. Well, I was like, isn't this like one of your like old school favorite bands? I was like, yep. She's like, I remember you playing them a lot.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I used to like Green Day back at like
Mhm.
years and years ago.
Just yeah, like nobody gave a shit about Kid Rock until TP's like bullshit thing. Nobody cared. Nobody who mattered cared about it.
Right. Well, I mean, and they said, well, Bad Bunny, you couldn't even understand what he's saying because he's speaking in Spanish. I mean, ball to the wall is not exactly.
Yeah.
I've never heard those words used anywhere
I
else.
I mean, and here's the thing, people. Your television has captions.
Yeah.
So, because like when because I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I watched Bad Bunny on the Apple TV YouTube replay, simply because I am still mad that the Bears did not get into the Super Bowl. Okay, and I'm going to be mad about it for the next year. So I just want to let you all know that is a thing. Um, Regardless of that, when I watched it, I was like, okay, even though I'm practicing and I'm studying Spanish, I don't know everything that he says. And I also understand that depending on which, area that you're from, especially when you're speaking Spanish, it's kind of like you have like a dialect, right?
Mhm.
Like when you are going to different countries that may have English as the prominent language, there's going to be different dialects, and you may not always understand everything that's being said. For instance, like I said, my mom is Jamaican, so when I went to Jamaica to visit family and things of that nature, I it was a lot of times that they will be speaking patois, and you got to sprinkle, you have English sprinkled in, maybe a couple of Spanish and French words sprinkled in, some
Mhm.
West African words that are sprinkled in, and that's a whole different dialect or language that they communicate to with each other. And sometimes I understood what was being said, sometimes I didn't. So, I put on the captions. I heard and I actually got a chance to read and see everything that he said. So it wasn't like it was lost to people, like he was speaking in some type of diabolical code that he
Yeah.
was cursing America. He was saying in Spanish, foil, doyle, trouble, and double, trouble, and toil, and all this other stuff. Like, no, there was no incantation,
Yeah.
but her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
you in Spanish, okay? Okay. He was not sicking the devil on you, even though somebody should, but he wasn't. Okay. He was just, singing his songs, having a good time, and he was dancing with the salsa and then, moving the hips, which a lot of you all don't know how to do. And maybe, just maybe, if you take a salsa lesson or two, you might not only have fun, but you might get those hips moving as well. Just saying.
Mhm.
Just saying, expand your culture, expand
I
your
mean,
horizon, expand your point of view. That's all that needs to be done. All
these
right.
are the same people who are complaining about not being able to understand what he said are the same people who will hear an English guy or a Scottish guy or an Australian guy say something and
Mhm.
complain, "What the fuck are you saying?"
Right.
Like,
Yeah. They say, well, I'm
man,
speaking English. Well, I'm speaking American.
American.
yeah. I
Uh,
literally had an argument with somebody saying, like, no, there is no country named England. It's the name of the language. And I ended up just having to walk away from that one.
Oh.
I could not
that
handle the
sounds right.
stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I do the same thing with people who said that the earth is flat. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's some crossover there.
There's a lot of crossover.
Agreed. Agreed.
Uh,
Some
and
intersectionality.
look, I mean, I understand that there's probably, and especially like around, uh, my age and stuff. I'm 43. There may be
Mhm.
some people out there that are big Kid Rock fans and wanted to watch Kid Rock or whatever. I mean, okay, whatever. But it's the deal they made of this. Like
Mhm.
they couldn't just be like, oh, Turning Point USA is going to put on a halftime show too. They could have just done that and been done with it and done their thing, and everybody would have been like, okay, well, Kid Rock sucks, but whatever. Like, but they they had to make this whole big thing about because dude spoke Spanish, which is like you said, it's not some code that you can't decipher. There's hell, your TV will do it automatically. The captions will fix it for you if you really want to know. But even without that, like, it's music. Like, you can't enjoy music if it's not in American for you. As they call it, like, I don't know. I just didn't get like the whole thing with, they could have found anybody better than Kid Rock to do this, and then of course he embarrassed the shit out of all of them by lip syncing and then denying it and doubling down on that, and like just it was a shit show all the way around, and it
But
looks like it was pre-recorded, and
but Joe,
uh,
You forgot the dude that was singing about driving his truck and drinking his beer.
this
There,
is the same guy that went and bought beer and shot it up with a gun,
uh,
okay, to show them.
yeah, on the libs.
Went and paid them for their beer and then shot it like that.
Yeah, that was
You
great.
already bought it. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. Like,
Exactly. Oh my god, that was absolute. That was great. It's awesome.
but yeah.
Boy.
So yeah, it is funny though that he brought it to the Super Bowl thing here. But so just to recap where we're at here. So this dipshit, Jeremy Carl, which is two first names, um, he he's been asked to say, okay, what is it that makes the what about white culture is being erased here? What is it that is about white culture that's different from black culture or any other culture? Like, and dude is really struggling to answer here because it was a stupid fucking thing to say. And so yeah.
Ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
Senator, again, thank you for the question. What I would say is the biggest thing, because actually, contrary to many of the comments that have been shown, racial nationalists have been very, very critical of my work because they correctly say that I'm actually, of course, not a racial nationalist, which I'm not. I'm a civic nationalist. I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized. And I think that.
And there it is, right? the xenophobia comes out.
Mhm.
The also, like, I mean, I don't know. Whenever he says like white foodways is what he said earlier, but like what is a white food? Like, I mean, is that like potatoes? But only if they're boiled.
I, I wish you could pull up that I wish you could pull up that skit that Chadwick Boseman did with SNL some years back before he passed away, and he was playing a T'Challa, his character from the Black Panther, and it was called Black, and the skit is called Black Jeopardy, and the question was, your friend Karen wants to bring potato salad to the cookout. And then he chimes in and he says, I think I understand what this game is about. This woman Karen, I suggest she's a white woman, ne? And he's like, yeah, she is white. She's like, okay. And she wants to bring a potato salad to the cookout. Is this correct? And he's like, yes. He said, Oh, and even though I think it's very honorable, she wants to bring food to the cookout. I have a sinking suspicion that she does not season her food.
I've seen that.
And he said, no, probably not. He said, no salt, no pepper, very little, no paprika. He said, very little salt, very little pepper, no paprika. He said, no, that is correct. And he said, and she will probably add an unnecessary ingredient like raisins. He's like, yes, that's probably the case. That's probably the case. And he said, well, I think that my answer will be. And then Keenan says, go say it. He said, oh, hell nah, Karen. Bring your nasty ass potato salad and keep it to yourself.
I've seen that. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not to say that I had bad potato salad by white people, but I mean, like, I don't know. I just think this whole thing is just like so weird. Like white food, like, are we talking about like food that got like a lot of flour in it? I mean,
Yeah.
like overuse of mayonnaise. I mean, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like, and he tries to like, I cut out part of this here, but
Mhm.
prior to this, he tries to like tie it into, because he says, well, what is, this white identity thing, and he tries to tie it to like cultural ethnic things, and he's like, yeah, but what is, I don't want you to talk about those things. I left that part in. I want you to talk about what it is, the white thing that you talk about all the time. Like, what are this white identity, and what are white values, and what are those things that you're talking about? Because clearly, I mean, it's a stupid thing to say.
It is.
But like, I don't know if he had something else in mind that he just wasn't going to say out loud, obviously. I mean, I suspect that's kind of part of it here. Like, this is great replacement theory stuff. So I'm sure there's some gross stuff he's thinking about, but like, he just had no clue how to answer any of this, because it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, there is no such thing as white food. Like, so for example, where I live is considered the South. This morning I cooked biscuits and gravy, and like the Southern style, you would consider it, but most of that originates not from white folks either, because America isn't.
Yeah.
A strictly white country.
Yeah, that's not how anything works. I mean, we have Americanized like foods, like we've taken ethnic foods like pizza and things like that, and we make Americanized versions of those things.
Yeah.
But it's not like, you wouldn't call it like white people pizza, like, because that's not what America is. It's all different
Yeah.
cultures and things.
Yeah.
So
Let me
yeah.
just say how incredibly boring our food would be if it was just white people stuff. We'd have no spice. We'd have no flavor. We wouldn't know how to make anything. All we would have is like boiled chicken.
Now, just because I can't
That's it.
fucking dance, don't mean I can't cook. Okay.
There you go. There you go. I saw Bree just put in that white people tacos exist, though. I'm scared to know what a white person taco is, unless you're
It's
talking
probably
about.
got fucking chicken in it.
I will. I mean, but like, I've been to Mexican restaurants. Like, I've been to Mexican restaurants where they actually put chicken inside the taco salad. I mean, the tacos. So I don't know. It's, yeah. I mean, I America. I know that like people like to call us a melting pot. I prefer to call America a tossed salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's actually a
yeah,
good one.
yeah, I prefer because like we have like so many different cultures, so many different nationalities represented, and they all have brought different
Mm-hmm.
portions of their culture to the United States, like music, like food, like dress, like language, like, all these different things that has created this mosaic that is America. And I think it's a great thing. I don't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I grew up with down south home food and Jamaican food on the Thanksgiving and Christmas table, you
Oh.
know. So, we had
Mm-hmm.
the turkey, we had, the baked mac and cheese, we had our string beans, our greens. We prefer mustard and turnip, not necessarily collard people. And on the other side, we had our rice and peas, we had our curry goats, we had, and it was made with coconut milk. I mean, like, this, because this is part of who we are. Like, we have, like, taken like different parts of, even if I'm looking at myself, like I am a person of lineage, not only from the United States, but also from, from Jamaica. And even back then, like some of the influences that came, that slaves and Jamaicans who were slaves that were brought to the Americas and the Caribbean, they brought with them portions of culture from West Africa. And I mean, like we eat plantains. Like we cut them up and we eat plantains, whether they in green banana and cassava and yucca and yam and sweet potato. That's not necessarily indicative of the United States. That's stuff that came back from the
Right.
continent. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I mean, like all this stuff like has basically, interwoven itself into the tapestry that is this
Mm-hmm.
nation. And it makes us better. It does not make us worse. And for
Exactly.
and I and here's the thing. I get not only upset, with like white nationalists who say crap like this, but I expect it of them, right? I get upset even with like some of my people, and when they believe that rhetoric that, immigrants are taking your jobs and like Latinos can't stand you and this, that, and the third. And,
Mm-hmm.
and even though that there may be some instances where like, there is like fighting or like, animus between ethnicities and races and things. That's always been the case. But one of the things that I try to say to people who like to bring up these topics is that you do know that the reason that is the case is because white supremacy has propagated that to be the case.
Right.
This is like the propaganda that is, African Americans are thugs and they are lazy and they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
work. So that's being, said all over the world. So when people and immigrants come here, they have this idea of African Americans, and that's what they are.
Right.
And then, some
Mm-hmm.
African Americans that are here would, hear the whole notion of, well, there's this thing called mejor a la raza, in within Latin culture, where they demonize people who they call moreno or dark skin, or Afro
Mm-hmm.
Latinos, or even African descent people, which is a thing, but they don't really understand the nuances of how white supremacy is behind all of this. So, and also too, there's generalizations that come up from white supremacy that interjects itself to the psyche of people, where they immediately think that because this is a thing, everybody from this nationality, everybody from this ethnicity, everybody from this, racial group feels that way. And that is not the
Mm-hmm.
case, because there are some of us that have superseded these propagandic rhetoric talking points that have been
Mm-hmm.
injected into the body politic for, over at
Yeah.
least about 2.5 centuries, and are able to see what the real problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That guy's the problem.
That guy's the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
You and your two first names.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so like whenever, and again, like I grew up and experienced a lot of Southern food being where I'm from. I
Mm-hmm.
understand where, it was slaves cooking all that food for all those white masters that then, you know, co-opted those things, and
Mhm.
Southern food isn't really Southern food, you know,
Right.
and you see that in places who have stood out from it, like down in Louisiana with the Creole stuff. Like, um, that's you know, there's cultural, there's things brought from other cultures that are then, you know, kind of combined with other things that are already here, or that
Mhm.
come here from another culture,
Mhm.
and then we end up with something unique out of it. And this is a good analogy, or for like the water problem with the erasure of Black history,
Mhm.
because we, by understanding where the roots of those things are, where they come from and stuff.
No pun intended.
Yeah, yeah, right. uh uh I thought that as I said it, you know, but the by understanding where those things come from and stuff, we can, having more knowledge about the source of those things, uh doesn't does nothing but make you better for it, right? Like, you learn from those things. So even though we have this dark history of
Mhm.
slavery, in the South and in the United States, which don't don't misunderstand me, it's horrible, awful thing, but we shouldn't be trying to erase that. We should look at where we are now, even though we're not in a great place, and what we've learned to this point, and continue to try and do better. But whenever you get rid of that history, you have nothing to compare it to.
Mhm.
You have, you know, so
Mhm.
you're just here, and then you're trying to whitewash all of history and all of this culture, and that only harms yourself and everyone else. I mean, especially the minority group that you're doing this to, but it harms everyone. You know, everybody loses whenever you do this.
Right.
Um, Rather than, hey, we this awful thing happened, and things still aren't great, but look how far we've came, and what it took to get here. Now we can look at that and what it may take to get to the next step.
Right.
And that's why after this clip, we'll get to something that's a little more unifying. Not
Okay.
this divisive asshole. Okay. So,
The,
but,
the first two
um,
names. Looking
yeah,
at.
yeah, yeah. Jeremy, Carl, what
Yes.
the
Mhm.
hell?
Ricky Bobby, as somebody
Ricky
in the chat
Bobby. Yeah.
said.
So in my family, we had to have this thing. The males, like, their son usually has the father's first name goes to the middle name of the son, and people do this all over the place. This isn't like unique here or to my family or anything. Like, people do this, but so my dad, his first name was Michael, so my middle name is Michael. You know, like that.
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, unfortunately, I was named Joe, not Joseph, not anything else, Joe, and I live in Kentucky. So think about the names that make sense to put Joe in the middle, and you know, you get Bobby Joe and Billy Joe, and you know, and so I kind of had to break that tradition a little
Good for you,
bit.
Joe. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, like when I see the first two names, all I can hear is the dueling banjos in my head. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's the thing. You know, da da
Yeah.
da 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 da. Da.
Well,
That's all
they
I hear.
filmed, I think they filmed Deliverance not far from here.
See,
Like, literally,
see,
they did.
yeah, yeah, and I'm still traumatized by that one scene. We all know what that scene is,
Yeah, yeah,
so you know.
Mhm.
Ooh, we should get back to that video because
yeah, yeah.
I'm getting triggered. I ain't even gonna lie.
We're gonna get everybody in trouble here. All right, here we go.
That weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for
Well,
it.
I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better. that
No,
white people
Senator,
are
I have to
superior.
disagree with that.
But you haven't been able to really coherently answer any of my questions about how you define white culture, how you define the threat that's posed. I appreciate you being very honest that you believe that white Americans are subject to greater amounts of discrimination in this country than black Americans. I do not think that's a sentiment that is shared broadly on this committee. It is all what makes you just wildly, wildly unqualified to take this post. I'm well over my time. Thank you.
Senator, I do appreciate you letting me actually respond. I genuinely do. So thank you.
Thank you for letting me respond.
That look of, oh, that didn't go good.
It's like, yeah, I fucked up.
Oh my God.
Trump is going to be so mad at me.
Oh God! Goodness. I was like, well, he should have nominated Joe racist ass in the first place. I mean, come on now.
Right. And, well, I loved how Senator Murphy waited till the end there to like sum it all up and be like, look, you were unable to answer these questions because the truth of the matter is that really there's no such thing as that shit you're talking about. What you're really saying is that white culture is better than these others. And
That's
it's
not
not
what
that
I'm
you
saying.
want to keep white culture. It's that you want to keep your foot on these other cultures. That's the issue here. Because you're a racist piece of shit. But I love the look there. Just that was the best part of the whole thing for me.
Here's the very small silver lining that Trump keeps nominating people like this. We get these moments of gold.
Yeah.
And these awesome screenshots.
And I mean, there is a more serious conversation to be had about the very fact that this guy ended up in front of the Senate and what a shame that is and what condition our democracy is in just by the fact that this guy's here. But it was nice to have a little fun with it, like
Yeah. Oh gosh. I just love it. The face at the end was
It was perfect.
It was awesome.
Perfect.
Oh my God. It was just like
he's looking at him, you son of a bitch.
Right. He's like, that motherfucker done really got my grain, didn't he? Shit. I'm gonna get it later from Trump.
Yeah. Outsmarted him and everything.
Oh my gosh. That's not what I was saying. I wasn't saying that white culture was better. I said, well, say what you were saying without saying what you were saying, because that's what you said.
Yeah, right. All right. So before we get into the other clip, because we'll spend a good amount of time talking about it as well. And this is why I only brought these two clips today, because I knew that we could spend quite a bit of time on these short little things here because there's a lot packed into it, a lot that isn't being said. But before we get there, I've put up this week's poll, and we're not going to this poll will remain open until Thursday. So it's not going to end today, but you can vote on it today if you want. There's a link in my Discord and on Facebook and everything. And do you think the DOJ has violated the Epstein Files Transparency Act? Yes, no, or the Dow is above 50,000. Hashtag capital A, B, or C in chat will cast your vote, or you can follow one of the links that I've posted on social media. So if you guys want to vote on that, it'd be great. I love the interaction of you guys, and we'll talk about that more on Thursday. Let's get back here to where I was. All right. I hate to see you go, buddy. All right. All right. So Liz sent me this a few days ago. Actually, you sent me this right before Thursday's show. And we were going to show this Thursday. But I'm really glad that it ended up making it till today because it goes so good with what we just talked about. And this is what I want to show you here is just a little backstory. So Tom Homan announced that he got word from Daddy Trump that they were pulling ICE out of Minnesota, and so this is what's this guy's name? What's the Chris Hayes?
Chris Hayes, yeah.
This is Chris Hayes talking a bit about that, and before we watch this, I want you to think about something. The people who say that protesting doesn't do anything, or that just going out and standing with signs isn't actually going to change anything, things like that. I want you to keep in mind what it looks like when we don't behave like the last guy we seen, and when we come together to actually stand up for people's rights and freedom and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see a real difference between what that looked like and what this looks like.
Here's the thing. This administration made a bet, and they keep making it, that most Americans, the majority of us, are as bigoted as Stephen Miller. And they're wrong. Time and time again, American people have stood up and said, no, no way. And not just in Minnesota, but all across the country. Like when they mistakenly shipped Kilmar Abrego Garcia to a foreign black box gulag in El Salvador, and they told us he was never getting out. Absolutely not. But thanks to enormous public pressure and outcry, and including Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland visiting him, he was returned to the United States. The government tried to charge him with a crime and is still trying to deport him, but you know what? For now, he continues to be with his family because there are people fighting back. And there are tons of cases like this where the administration detained people they shouldn't have, and then they got caught, and then it went public, and then they had to backtrack. Last year, for instance, we brought you the story of Narciso Barranco. He's the father of 3 U.S. Marines. You see him there on the ground, who was brutally detained, punched, wrestled to the ground, while doing landscaping work outside of a California IHOP. The government tried to argue he was a danger because, ready for this, he was holding his weed whacker. Local news covered it, local reporters, nationally, the public was outraged. Guess what? Today, an immigration judge dismissed his deportation case. Public pressure also secured the release of pro-Palestinian activists Rameza Oztark and Mahmoud Khalil, who were unconstitutionally detained by this administration over their obviously protected free speech. In fact, this week, another immigration court said Ozturk cannot be deported, according to her lawyer. While Khalil was back on Capitol Hill this week lobbying on behalf of other targets of this administration, while his own deportation case makes its way through the courts. Again, nothing is over here. I don't think anyone is deluded enough to think it is, right? But the lesson is that they can be beaten. The administration can be beaten. And the reason, crucially, they can be beaten is this. Ordinary people living in this country from different backgrounds and ethnicities and races and religions and worldviews just don't like it. And they have been standing up. And I don't think all the people who are working to oppose the Trump vision of blood and soil nation based on ethnic purity, I don't think all of them have the same views on public policy or they all agree on everything, but they do fundamentally share a sense of neighborliness and decency. And it turns out that's a pretty powerful force. Tonight, I'm reminded of a man I spoke to, a pastor, in fact, who was protesting outside an ICE facility in Minnesota.
We're going to outlast them. We're not going to get tired. They're going to get tired and they're going to leave. And the country's going to get tired of ICE abusing people like this. There's a saying around here, when does the ice go out? It's when does the ice melt off the lakes?
Yeah.
It's called Ice Out Day. People will park old cars on a lake, or they used to,
Yeah.
and make bets on when the car would sink. We know how to wait till ice out. And people around here, we're gonna outlast ICE, and we're gonna be here when ICE is out.
That made me smile. I like that.
Yeah.
That interview. And yeah, it's one of those things that people don't realize the impact. I saw an interview, and I know I should know her name, and for some reason it's totally escaping me. But she basically said whenever you start to see about 3.5% of the population up and protesting and stuff is when you start to see things change. We're at like 2.8% at this point, just based on the protests that have already happened.
Yeah. I mean, the history of this country is that nothing changes without pressure and organization. It I know I would hear even like some people who I work with, oh, protests don't work. I said, yeah, they do. They do. I mean, like there needs to be strategy around all protests, but
Hmm.
just to say that they don't is not
Yeah.
historically factual, right?
Yeah.
And I know that we are seeing people getting out into the streets when they are seeing an injustice. Like Dr. King said, that injustice somewhere is an injustice everywhere,
Hmm.
you know. And I think that it behooves us to like to really understand that if there is something that we see as a group that is wrong, we need to speak out against it. And I understand that not everybody's going to go into the streets, not everybody's going to be picketing, not everybody's going to be holding up a sign. There are other ways that you can protest. There's other ways that you can even support, even organizations that happen to organize protests around, certain things that you
Hmm.
care about. And I always encourage everybody, if you have the means to do that, to please do so, because that helps too.
Hmm.
But just to sit on the sidelines and just like let shit happen is what exactly this administration is banking on. They're they're
Hmm.
they're they're literally putting out the baby and the bathwater all in front of you just to overwhelm you. That's exactly what's happening. And like we have the Gestapo over here that's disappearing people off the street. We have them taking down monuments and putting back up Confederate general statues in different places when they were when they were taken down. We have one side say, "Oh, we back the blue," but they only back the blue when the blue is on their side. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, like it's so many just different things that's just being like hand tossed here, hand tossed there. We're aiding and abetting a genocide in Gaza, and we're also ignoring a genocide in Sudan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like all these different things that are happening right now that, is
Hmm.
designed to really distract us. But it really does take, pressure, organizing. I mean, these are the different things that flipped presidents before. Like all those protests that happened in the late 60s was what pushed. And I mean, even like, concurrently running with the civil rights movement is what pushed Nixon to get out of Vietnam, and because they knew that, like I said, this is an immoral war. It's been going on for
Hmm.
way too long. We should not be in this place at all. Get our troops out of there. So, I mean, like all these different things, America has basically said that they won't change unless our grassroots people kick our ass to make our change, to make it change. That's the sentiment that we have, that has been established in this country. But we can see, and I'm glad that Chris Hayes did point it out, that the protests are working. I mean, now we got Tom Homan saying, at first they said they were just going to draw down 700 ICE agents. Now they're about to take them all out. They're saying that
Hmm.
that the operation in Minneapolis and St. Paul is coming to an end, but they're in the process of trying to go into Ohio, Springfield.
Yeah.
And they are doing they're doing like operations in Texas, and they're doing operations in New Orleans, and they're still trying to say, okay, well, the people here didn't want us there and they kicked us out, so let's go ahead and terrorize somebody else. And I mean, and it has to be that same fervor and that same response to say no. Like
Yeah.
the shit that you got in Minneapolis and St. Paul, you gonna get it here too. Because what you're doing is wrong, and we can see you, and we're going to fight against you.
Hmm. I mean, that's one thing is like, yeah, I live in Texas. I live in a super red state. There are a lot of pockets in this state that are just like, yeah, let's get everybody out, blah, blah, blah. But there's pockets also pretty much equal in size, like where I live, where people are like, get the fuck out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we want you here.
Mm-hmm.
Because they understand, like, even if they don't, even if the people are not looking out for the people who are telling ICE to get out, even if they themselves are not necessarily looking out for the human rights, they understand that the economy and our society runs on having immigration.
Right.
And yeah, they're not where I want them to be, but they're in this fight. So yeah, like, get in the fight, because it's just like this, um, just the constant. They're trying, like, they do make a big deal about going to blue cities because, of course, blue cities, blue states, all that stuff. They're doing it much more quietly in red states and red cities, but the red cities are starting to get fed up with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's going to be a massive turning point when that finally breaks loose.
I can just even think about like the farmers are complaining right now because they're saying that not only are you getting rid of our employees, you're also you're also undermining us because you are like trying to prop up other countries like Argentina and making deals with them to buy their beef, and because of your tariffs, you're not allowing us to be global players when it comes to the crops and the goods that we are cultivating right here. So where is the agenda that you said that's America first? They don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, like, and even like the bailout that they proposed for farmers was penance. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't even close to the. I was like, you bail out the farmers for like, I don't even know if it was like $1 billion. But I damn
Yeah,
sure
it
know
was
that.
barely anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I know you gave 40 billion to Argentina.
Yeah, and
You,
the Argentina thing is a huge deal here.
hmm
We're a fucking beef state. We are a beef and dairy state through
yes,
and through.
yes. So what are you saying to the biggest? Like some of your biggest support is like in places like Texas, right?
Hmm.
And they are, this is like beef, poultry, and I even look at Illinois. Illinois is big on producing, even though like everybody thinks that Illinois is like completely dominated by Chicago, but that's just like one city. The majority of our state is agrarian, and we have corn and soybeans. That is a big portion of you know what people grow, and they put it on the global market in order for them to sell to other countries. And now that you are putting these artificial barriers, because they don't make any sense. I mean, like, my God, the
Hmm.
damn a terrorist that he keeps on, like, getting like, a hard on for. He's been talking about this shit since the fucking 80s. I'm like, grow up. The
Hmm.
economy is not what it was like when you was, you know, mm, doing Epstein shit. So I need you to understand the times. But he's so fucking demented and so narcissistic that he won't even allow himself to actually learn what the face of the economy, the global economy, is today and how we trade. He's like,
Hmm.
Canada is doing us so wrong. We had free trade with you numbnut, and also with Mexico. You keep on saying lopsided. It was fucking free. And you know how? You should know that. You negotiated a free trade with Mexico and Canada. You fucking idiot. Oh my God. You know what? Excuse me. Y'all talk, because I need to calm down. Feel my blood pressure come. I don't even know if I had my pills yet. Did I? I don't even know. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I yeah, I seen you furiously typing there a couple times, Lil. Uh, yeah, yeah. Uh, I see your message too. Um, so here's the only thing I'm going to say to you, Joseph. you can claim all that shit, but the fact of the matter is that nobody said that, and these people's been out there protesting in the cold for a long time, and like that you're the only person making that up. You're just talking out your ass and pretending that it's true, which is pretty much what you always do. But
Mm.
you, you're getting kind of lippy over there with people for pushing back against you and saying you want to talk about God or whatever and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about. If you can't behave, fucking kick rocks, dude. Like, or we can help you. But like, just chill, man.
Gladly.
Calm down. Like, if you want to say that ice pulled out because of the weather, back it up with something. But you haven't done that. You're
And
just
not and
stirring
don't
up.
do it. Don't do it. I'm sorry to interrupt. I said, and don't
No,
do it
go
with
for
the
it.
montage that Jimmy Kimmel put together with ICE agents falling on ice specifically just because they don't know how to navigate the weather in fucking Minnesota, which was hilarious, by the way. But
That
that's
was
not the
awesome.
reason why they left.
What have you gamed that out in your head? No, you said it. You're the only person that said it, you dumb fuck. Like, you're the only one saying that. Nobody else has said it.
They're
Okay.
They're leaving because what they're doing and the optics that's being shown is really fucked up for this administration.
Yeah.
You had two people that was murdered on camera, okay?
Yeah.
And then you have a DOJ that was afraid it was not going to prosecute them. And then you had the imp that came from fucking Lord of the Rings get on the goddamn TV talking about that ICE has immunity, total immunity, overall immunity. And guess what? That was a lie. And you know it was a lie. You just have people who happen to be at the top that does not want to go ahead and prosecute these people. That's one. You had a little child, a 5-year-old little child that was propped up and used by ICE to lure his father in Minneapolis in order for them to capture them. And they tried to deport both him and the father and then left him in an ICE detention facility. And they gave that little child rotten food where he got sick. And that information got out into the media. Okay. So you got another thing. You got people that has been pulled out of their cars. That lady who was pulled out of her car, she was just trying to get to the doctor. She kept on saying, I'm disabled, I'm disabled, I'm disabled. They didn't care. They arrested her, they detained her, and she was a citizen. These are over and over and over and over these different instances that are showing up on television along with the protests, and it doesn't look good. The optics are bad, and
Yeah.
that's even causing the Trump administration to have currently a 36% approval rating, which is only above their base,
Yeah.
only around their base. So miss me with this whole notion that, oh, it was the weather type of bullshit, because it was infraction after infraction after infraction, and the
Yeah.
optics plus the protest that says, you know what, we can't do this shit anymore. And now they want to go terrorize somebody else.
And
Get your life, sir.
that's the thing. Like, Joseph, nobody's saying that they left because they were scared of the protesters. It's this administration is the most unpopular administration in modern times, right? So this shit all over the TV and how bad of a job ICE is doing, along with how unpopular they are there, and these things that keep happening over and over and over. It's not that they're scared of the protesters, it's that everybody can see what they're doing and it's not going well for the administration because of it.
Right.
They don't want to look any worse than they already do. There are like Trump's approval rating, 30. What was it, 36?
36% so
Yeah,
far. Yeah.
but that's his approval rating in general. When it comes to immigration, which is the thing that got him elected,
It's
it's
lower than that.
yeah, it's even lower than that.
Yeah.
So like, it's not that they're scared of the protesters; it's that the bad look that it's putting on the administration, no matter who they send in there, it's continuing to make them look bad. And Trump's got an election to steal.
Yeah,
So
which he's
yeah,
actively doing right now. Not
yeah,
only the most unpopular and the most corrupt and the
yeah,
most inept and the most and the most cultish of sycophants of people that happen to be working with him that I have ever seen in my life. To the point, and you know, to the point that people actually had to coin when you point out the missteps, the multiple missteps of this administration. I'm sorry, this regime, because that's what it is. It's not an administration, it's a
Yeah.
regime.
For sure.
They want to coin a whole term that I guess they want to put in the DSM called Trump derangement syndrome. Which is not even. I was accused by a person who I used to do activism work with on reparations for having Trump derangement syndrome because I did not support him because I said this bullshit concerning how Black people are disproportionately affected by by illegal immigration is crap. There's no data to back. None, zero. Because you know why? I looked. It's the same. The issues that have to do with the lack of wealth in the Black community have to be systemic issues that have been there since fucking slavery.
Do you remember when the reporter asked him what are Black jobs?
Yes. Oh my God. He's at the NABJ on stage in Chicago, and he said they're taking the Black jobs. Abby Phillips says, "What is a Black job?" He said, a job that Black people have." I'm like, okay, so are you telling me that a person who has come and documented to taking my job? I'm a social worker. Everybody who I work with, regardless of whatever type of nationality they came from, even if they immigrated here, is legal. Yeah. I mean, seriously, come on now, stop it.
Well, so that's obviously, so just breaking down what he said there, that obviously can't be right, because if he just means whatever jobs that Black people are working, then he's trying to say that immigrants are coming here and they only want jobs that Black people held.
Right. I mean, like I said, so you want Black. So I said there are Black people who are doctors. There are Black people who are lawyers. There are Black people who are construction workers. There are Black people who are homemakers. There are Black people who are home health care agents. There are Black people who happen to work in business. There are Black people who are entrepreneurs. There are Black people who hold several different positions in this country as we speak. But we also know that there is a very high rate of Black unemployment right now. And it was actually the lowest that Black unemployment was in, even though I can't stand this man, was under Biden.
Yeah.
It was under Biden. And the reason why it was lower under Biden is because he was introducing policies that brought back jobs that were actually pushed overseas. The CHIPS Act was going to bring back over 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Trump in his first administration lost over 200. So you tell me who's good for the economy and who's not.
We've lost like 75,000 or 75,000 manufacturers, or 750,000 manufacturers
since he's been in office right now. So he's lost actually more manufacturing jobs because he killed the CHIPS Act. He killed it. That was the thing that was actually going to bring back, because they were going to be manufacturing and putting incentives for businesses to build chips here. Actually, they oh my fucking God. The fucking, they had people who were building plants here that that was from Korea, that was teaching Americans how to build the technology for the cars right here. It was they decided to deport them for arbitrary reasons when they were here fucking legally. And they were here legally because of the incentives to bring back these particular jobs. He is killing the economy. And I don't understand how, like, some of y'all MAGA folk is not seeing that shit. I know that there's more people that's coming like, I regret my vote. And I mean, like, shit, 92% of Black women and 85% of Black men tried to tell you.
Yeah.
But you didn't listen.
Yeah. Tried to say
of us tried to tell them too.
Yes. As Joy Reid says, and the spicy whites.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yes.
Spicy whites.
Spicy whites. That's what she calls allies spicy whites. Yes. So that means, like, there was plenty of people that was trying to tell you that this is bad. This is wrong. This sucks. This is going to really upend America. This is really going to cause a lot of problems. But no, you put that Negro. Woo! About to say something. Oh my God. Yeah. You put that dude in office, and here we are.
All right. And Joseph, I was tempted to just not answer your question, but I will. So No, I do not think that anything changes if Trump disappears tomorrow. Um, Trump is a puppet in a lot of ways. He's a racist puppet, but the bigger so whenever it comes to the major issues like this immigration stuff and many of the other things that were all in Project 2025, um, the Republican Party would carry on with that plan as of now. But Trump, you talk about him disappearing. He kind of is to a lot of Republicans because they see that he's poison to their campaigns and they're distancing themselves from him. They're voting against him now. So I'm not under any illusion or delusion that Trump, like getting rid of Trump, solves all these problems, because it doesn't.
No.
There are certain problems that getting the crazy racist pedophile out of office does solve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't solve all of these problems. There's systemic issues buried deep in all of these things, which is more of what we were talking about today, even though it had to do with the Trump administration. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
we already know that the systemic issues that the United States have been experiencing are before Trump.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing, the issue with him specifically is just he's just saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
He's giving permission to get rid of the dog whistles and just saying the N word to your face right now, instead of saying,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, states' rights um or welfare queen or things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. And the thing about it is that the policies that he is pushing and even like legislating and signing into law are not just harmful to just minorities. They're harmful to his base too.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of them are starting to wake up to that fact that they were so hell bent on getting rid of immigrants because because and let's just be clear, we know that he's talking about black and brown immigrants. Those are the ones that they want to get rid of. Not because he said it out loud. Why can't we have more people from Norway? Why can't we have more people from Sweden? I said, so you want people from the whitest of the white countries to come here, and everybody else who's not, they need to go back. That's what you're saying. Cool. He
Mm-hmm.
uncovered that. People are seeing that now. And even though that this is the same type of dog whistling and virtue signaling that he was doing in his first administration, he's just making it worse right now. And
Mm-hmm.
now, and now everybody, everyone who is not a millionaire billionaire and has long money is really catching hell right now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Sorry, I was paying attention. I was trying to fix something else.
Oh, you're fine.
Um,
You're fine.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there are, and I see in chat there talking about like how Trump, other people couldn't get away with doing the things that Trump is doing and stuff. And I agree with that. And like I said, I think that taking Trump out of the picture, like right now, if he just disappeared off the face of the earth, if we were so lucky to have that, um, does solve some problems, but the larger problems persist, and the Republican Party is going to continue trying to do all the things that they're currently doing
Oh, yeah.
to black and brown people, to the LGBTQ community, trying to prevent people from voting in certain communities and others, making it harder for people to vote in poorer communities, which again, because of the systemic things, is also affects a lot of black families and black voters, and so there's there's a whole lot to talk about there that we can't really do in 10 shows, but I
Yeah, that's a
mean,
series right there.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that it's baked in the cake at this point, right? So
Mhm.
like you
Well, I would say this. This is one thing that all of us can do. I need everybody that's on the stream right now, that is under the sound of my voice, to please share this video and have
Mm-hmm.
so that they can have a call to say they can have the call to action to call your senator and tell them no to the SAVE Act.
yeah
Seriously.
Yeah.
Call them and tell them no to the SAVE Act. This is a terrible, horrible bill that is going to disenfranchise millions of voters, and the majority of them are from marginalized and disproportionately affects people who happen to be vulnerable to what to have their vote disenfranchised. And it's not just black people. It's us people who happen to be poor. It's people who happen to be elderly. It's people who happen to, live even in rural areas where, trying to get to a voter's poll is not necessarily, feasible. So they may have to do mail-in ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people who they are trying to keep from voting. The thing specifically about Republicans, they don't try to come up with policies or even work across the aisle to help with policies that are actually good for the majority of Americans. That's not their way. What they
Mm-hmm.
rather do is they rather disenfranchise voters who are more likely to vote against them so that they can stay in power.
Yeah.
So please, 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 that bill is in the Senate right now. It's being reviewed by senators before it goes back to the House and eventually going to and if it passes the Senate and it passes the House again, it's going to the president's desk to sign, and he wants to sign it because he basically wants to steal the 2026 and 2028 election. And that's the way, and with a bunch of other things that they're trying to do, but that's a big way to do it. So please, 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 call your senators, email your senators. Hell, if you can, go to office in your area and complain to their aides so that they can get that stuff in their face and say no, 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 no to the SAVE Act.
yeah
I am off of my soapbox now.
no perfect. Well,
The
I'll
the
actually
problem.
also take that and cut it out later and post it as a standalone thing. All
Oh
that
yeah.
thing said. Yeah. But
The
go
problem.
ahead, Will. I'll let you take that one.
The problem with Trump supporters is they are dropping off like flies. Doesn't matter if he has Trump supporters. If they're 20, 30, even 35% of the population, he doesn't have the support.
That part.
That's all
Joseph,
there is to it.
we just gave you the numbers. You're saying bring up the numbers. Like his approval rating is 36. It's the lowest in modern presidential history.
Yeah.
Like and it among Republicans, it's still the lowest in modern history among Republicans.
He's lower
So
than what he was his first semester. I'm about to say semester. Jesus Christ. He's lower than his first term. His
Yeah.
yeah,
approval level was higher in his first term when he
He
left. And now even though and
people
even he left with the lowest approval rating in his first term the first time. And he's
yeah,
even lower than that. Now that's saying something.
yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
beat
he was
you at
at
being me at
36% this morning when I checked.
Yeah, he's at
36,
36%
yeah.
now, but he was higher. He was the lowest approval rating president ever his first term.
I think it was like 41 he ended
Yeah,
with or
he
something like
was.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like by 41, 42% when he left
Yeah.
office. And now he and his first it's been what it's only been like a little over a year since he's been office, and he beat himself at the lowest approval rating ever in life. Wow, that's saying something. best meritocracy person ever, who has the best people doing the best things at the best time
Best
and the
people.
best place. Wow. Oy vey.
So okay, Joseph. I'm really trying here. So, he's losing moderates. Fair enough, he is. He lost all the moderates. But even among the GOP, he
He's
still has
losing
that
people.
low of a number. Like, what are you
If
not getting about this?
And here's
It's
the
if
thing.
he's still
I was
if
about to
he
say,
still had
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I was
no. Go
gonna
ahead.
say
Go ahead.
if he still had the GOP, his numbers will be above 40.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, exactly. And also too, here's the thing. You would like to say third grade political breakdown. You obviously are not even understanding third grade political breakdown right
Right.
now. So even the third graders are doing better than you, sir.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, when it comes to any of this, like, you can read, you can see the writing on the wall. We have eyes, we have ears, our senses are working. We can pull up this information. You don't have to be a statistician in order for you to actually understand that this man is failing, and he's a failing president. And the only reason why he's able to get the things across is because he has the people who are elected afraid of him. They're afraid of his retaliation. And that's why they decide to be, to go ahead and go with the grain and be bootlickers and sycophants. It's quite apparent. And any person that has an IQ above room temperature can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
Projection!
The
Projection alert!
irony here.
Projection
Anyway,
alert!
guys. So the point today is that we looked at this really awful thing, that we're in a place to where uh, an openly racist white nationalist is put in front of the Senate to try and be confirmed for a very high position within the State Department. Um, and then we seen, what the administration is doing and what that looks like and what kind of mess that was. And then, we kind of had this other video where we see when people actually stop being bigots and assholes like that person and work together to take care of their neighbors, regardless of all those things, that they actually get things done. That these protests that people say protesting does nothing are actually getting things done. Um, they with so many eyes on what ICE was doing and people with phones everywhere. We seen live on TV them murdering American citizens and arresting Americans and treating people awful in the streets. And we just had this story come out where they had lied and said that um, some person came after them with a shovel and a broom and injured this ICE officer. And turns out they just missed all those charges because it was all a big lie.
Mhm.
Um, the point of the protests is that there's peaceful protesters keeping an eye on what these people are doing and showing that they can stand together against them and following them around, so they're not sneaking up on people at schools and stuff and standing out in the cold and 20 below weather to say that they don't approve of these things. And it's been really unpopular for the administration, but it shows what happens when people work together. And the thing that really kills your whole argument here, Joseph, going back to this, is that it's not just Democrats out there. It's not just moderates out there.
Mhm.
The Trump's handling of immigration specifically has been incredibly unpopular among his own voters. They speak out about it all day long, to the point now that even news stations like Fox and Newsmax are saying what he's doing is wrong. Joe Rogan, the right wing dipshit podcaster out there with
Who's
the
been
biggest
cucking
podcast in
for
the
Trump
nation.
who's been cucking for Trump since he came back out in
Yeah,
2024. My God, it's ridiculous.
yeah.
Mhm.
Even came out and said, "Hey, nobody voted for this. This isn't what we want,"
Mm,
because he's not doing what he said. Instead, it's very clear that it's racially motivated and based on hate and everything else. It's not about putting America first because while he was, telling Americans they could starve, he's given $40 billion to Argentina. While
mhm.
our economy is failing, he's in Venezuela taking over governments and doing regime changes and worried about oil there that none of the oil companies even want.
Right.
Um, he has turned our allies away from us, deserted Ukraine, who is our ally,
Mhm.
uh, and has buddied up with other authoritarian governments.
Right.
Um, Americans don't want that, whether they're Republican or Democrat. Only a small group of MAGA cultists are cheering that on. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry that you feel that way, Joseph. And I really feel bad for you because you got stuck both with the creationist and the MAGA thing. And I'm not. I'm just fucking with you. Um, but anyway, he's incredibly unpopular on both sides of the aisle. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I have so much fun talking with you, Cynthia. I told you this the other day. We have a good time whenever we talk about things, and you do the things that I'm thinking come out of your mouth often, and I'm like, that's that thing I was talking about. I just said it really shitty. Um,
I think I think you like my rantiness, cause I yeah. and
yeah,
I and I appreciate you allowing me to do that because that's the way that that's what I call um self what am self care. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I it's actually been somewhat difficult to get guests for this political show. Like, or at least at first, we just really started focusing more on putting guests on. Like we usually just kind of cover what's going on in the news and stuff. But
Hmm.
um, I know that there's other people within this group of communities that wants to talk about those things. So yeah, just getting people that want to come on and have those discussions and things. And this one, was just I mean, the Pam Bondi thing last time that was a shit show, obviously, but I mean, there's just so much crazy shit going on. You got to try and cover it and stuff. But I was glad we were able to just compare those two things today of what it looks like. And um, I didn't actually know until I didn't pull that clip until last night. So I didn't actually know that we were going to be talking about overt racism in the Senate today. But I'm glad that we had a black woman here to to help us with that.
Yeah, potentially high too.
Gotcha. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. Uh,
With opinions, as
well, I mean, obviously, there's only especially like the conversation we had about cultures and things. There's only so deep that us two white folks can go with that, right? Like,
Mhm.
and should be taken seriously doing it, So it's great to have that perspective and have somebody who's working with black non-believers and done all these other things and
Mhm.
during Black History Month to come here and represent all those things that you work and do. And so I'm really happy to have you. And again, like we just have wonderful conversations, and I enjoy talking with you so much. You're very knowledgeable in a lot of things.
aw,
Mhm.
that was so sweet. Thank you, thank
I
you. Well,
completely agree.
I thank you for having me on, and yes, I always enjoy speaking with you, and this is the first time I actually got a chance to be on with Lil. and we weren't raising money for something. So, but no,
Yeah.
but no, this is this is something I feel like is more where I kind of land, only because like I think that the conversations, and I know that we talked a little bit about this, Joe, that most atheist channels have is about hermeneutics and apologetics and and fallacies concerning the existence of God, and it's nothing wrong with those conversations. I think that they're good conversations to have, actually. Um but but we are in such a time right now, and I know there's like some people, depending on who you talk to, either it's precedented or unprecedented, right? But this is, the United States have gone through troubling times before because of leadership of that nature. But I would say that this is the most troubling time that America has seen in the modern sense, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel that like us who happen to be skeptics, critical thinkers, humanists, secularists, etc., needs to be able to expand our conversations beyond just what do you believe and why, right?
Yeah.
Because the same people that you may be debating with who are theists also may hold very problematic political positions, and those people vote. Those people are involved with the civic process, and those people put others of their like minds in positions that affect all of us.
Yeah.
So it Yeah, so it's important for us to be aware, informed, talk about these things, and also making it a habit to talk to our neighbors and our friends and our family, and all those things, because like it's going to take the change to happen from from the ground. It's not going to happen at the top, because people who's already at the top, they're comfortable. Change always happens from the ground up, and we need to be a part of that.
I could
Absolutely.
not agree more. That's
That's
awesome.
that. So that's kind of been my perspective on a lot of this for a minute, is because it's like I know that the community that watches these videos on a number of channels, not just mine, that if I wanted to come on here and argue about or debunk the resurrection or talk about Exodus 21 or whatever the case may be, like these topics that we talk about in religion and stuff, I feel like the audience is smart, and a lot of them that watch this channel already know those things. Like they've seen those arguments over and over and over. And
Hmm.
sure, when they come up, we can engage in that and have that conversation and whatever about whatever apologetic or counter apologetic you want to talk about. We can do that from time to time. And I've debated some of these folks. Joseph there, I've debated before, but now where things are, I just feel like there is a need to be past that, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
the while there are these harmful things with religion and a real danger in some areas with it, not every believer is a danger. That's not what I'm saying, but there there is this other thing going on, and there is this crossover, and it is harmful to this community. It is harmful to the other communities that make up this community. And I feel like, I could not talk about it is the thing. I could not have these discussions. Like I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you about the resurrection and not be thinking about this, because this is the immediate threat. This is the thing that people are being killed in the street. Elections are trying to be stolen. Countries are being overthrown. And we have a fascist dictator and a bunch of pedophiles running the United States government. And I feel like that's the bigger threat right now to
Yeah.
and to us
Yeah.
specifically. You know that part of the thing that Trump has already said is that they want to be able to deport people who speak out against the government
Yeah.
and to arrest dissidents and so it's really important that we know what's going on and not only that but back to the and I say this too often but back to the Benjamin Franklin thing you have a republic if you can keep it is not just about voting it's about being informed and knowing what's going on and knowing working together to build this nation not tear it down and so um, that's kind of how we end up here and why you come here for a political show. I haven't done an atheist show in some time, although there's one of those coming up pretty soon. But in fact, we went from one political show to now we're doing two political shows. And I think the last time I made atheist content was months ago. But
Yeah.
no.
I
Anyway,
know.
we're over time here. We've went over. We were late getting here, but you still got your 2 hours worth. So let's
Yeah.
get out of here.
All right.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you wanna tell the people where to find you and all that stuff, and I'll post it in chat while you're doing it.
Yes, guys, I am actually at the handle The Roots Matter. That's me talking and it's me, like yelling at people in the chat as well. So I am at The Roots Matter and I am actually doing a live stream later on today at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time with some of my buddies that I've done podcasts before with. Teo, um, Teo El Alteo, Scott Dickey, and Jason Friedman will be on this. We're going to be doing a panel discussion. We're going to be talking about different, news items that happen to be coming up today. So you're going to want to tune into that. It should be a really good discussion. I also put out content throughout the week as well. My stuff is mostly news and politics, but I sprinkle in a little bit of secularism here and there too. So, you know. Yeah, because they intersect. Like, politics and religion definitely intersect, and I try to highlight those things in my content as well. So, yeah, if you could go ahead and hand and run over to the Roots Matter and give me a like and a sub, I would really appreciate it. Please
Yeah,
and thank you.
yeah. Go over there and sub to Cynthia's channel. Like I said, if you've seen the previous show where Cynthia visited here or seen the show over where I was having some delay issues with my camera whenever we did your show the other day, but
That just means
the
you got to come back and do another one.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Hey, I will never turn down a chance to sit down and have an intellectual conversation with you. Um, the but yeah, Cynthia's got a great channel and just you've seen it here. Her wonderful takes on these things and just her great point of view on them was awesome. So yeah, and if you're watching here, go over to Lil's channel and subscribe. If you're over at Lil's watching, come here and subscribe. People are watching on Facebook. I don't know why that says 0, but I'll have to look at that. So if you're watching on Facebook, hi. This will probably be the last time this happens. Good luck.
Hi.
But
Have people watching on Facebook?
yeah. I'm sure they're all mad right now. Anyway, so Lil and I will be back Thursday, and I'm not sure there's a couple possibilities of who may be the guest for that, but I still have to talk about something with somebody first. The following week, we've got Aaron Raw coming on to do the political show with us, which Aaron's been doing a lot of political stuff over on his channel too. So that'll be a lot of fun. If you want to be a guest on the show, most of you know where to find me: Discord, Facebook, or the Kentucky Atheist at Gmail. Shoot me an email, and we'll get you on here. And we talk about whatever's going on that week. So it's not usually like a set subject or anything. But yeah, that's all I got. Anybody else got anything I want to say? Lil, you need to say anything else?
Nothing. Just there's Java and Jugs tomorrow morning, and Ember with Learn Together Live all week, and I'll be there.
Yes.
Oh, there's also a really good interview out with me and Ambushed Apostate. Go check that out. It's about Christian nationalism. It's a good one.
Nice. Very nice.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.